Welcome to the Work Cultured Podcast. Today we have Nick Jain. Nick is the CEO at Ideascale, and we are delighted to have Nick. Nick and I first spoke almost 3 months ago about having him on the podcast, and then life has a way of getting busy and things happening, and so here we are today, and we are delighted to have you, Nick. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you mind tell us a little bit more about yourself and kind of your career trajectory up to this point and kind of what you guys are doing at Ideascale?
Sure. So I'm the CEO of Ideascale. I'd break my career into three pieces. One was I spent about 10 years on Wall Street being a professional investor, investing in a lot of different companies in different industries at multi-billion dollar institutions. Second, and then the second half of my career, which is where I am right now, is I'm a professional executive. I've either run or co-run three different companies: a $100 million trucking company, a small shoe startup, and now Ideascale. Ideascale is the largest innovation software company in the world. You can think of our software like Facebook for ideas. So instead of posting pictures of your family or your vacation, people post ideas. And ideas can be parts for spaceships or what snacks you want in the kitchen. And people collaborate around what ideas are good, what ideas need comments, what ideas need to be voted up and voted down. And we have the great honor of doing this for a bunch of major institutions that you interact with around the world: ING Bank, Pfizer, Comcast, US Post Office. All these institutions use our software to collect ideas, sort the good ideas from the bad ideas, as well as create a culture of people's ideas being valued.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to go back a little bit. So tell me a little bit more about, because that's a pretty diverse kind of landscape that you just mentioned leading up to Ideascale. So you mentioned a trucking company. Like, are we talking like y'all had physical
Yes,
trucks
sir.
in the
Big,
logistics
big trucks,
industry?
big warehouses, racks, you name it, stuff going thousands of miles,
Okay.
40,000 pounds of stuff being shipped from point A to point B. And point B was often on the other side of the country.
Wow. And then the next one was, did you said a shoe store?
An online shoe store. It was a
Online.
company that rented really, really high-end shoes to people for events, or really
Wow.
high-end shoes to men for events.
Wow. And then would you mind like kind of shedding some light on, not necessarily those two. I mean, if you want to, I'd certainly love to hear, but how did you go from those to then Ideascale? And am I right? We're coming up on our third year at Ideascale. Is that right?
Yes, sir. So yeah, I've been I think on July 4th of this year I'll hit 3 years at Ideascale. I think I
Okay.
joined on July 5th a few years
Got
ago.
to do some fireworks for the celebration, yeah?
Um, So honestly, I was, at this shoe company, and I got a call from somebody I'd met a few years ago and said, "Hey, Nick, a friend of mine who owns this software company that is ready for a CEO to help take this company to the next scale." So Ideascale at that point had been around for about 10 or 11 years, not a startup. It was a mid-sized software company that had been reasonably successful, but now we were ready to go from a smaller mid-sized company to a more globally impactful enterprise-grade company. And this was really exciting for me because I'd been co-CEO a couple of times, and now it was an opportunity for me professionally, number one, to be CEO, but number two, what Ideascale did personally really excited me. I've always been frustrated in my career about the boss's ideas mattering more than mine, or the boss's ideas matter more. So there's this principle called Hippo, the highest paid person in the organization. And usually
Okay.
it's just their opinion matters, right? The CEO's opinion matters more than the janitor's. And that's not always a good thing. That's rarely a good thing, in fact. Good ideas should stand on their own merits, regardless of whether they come from somebody junior, somebody with a funny accent, somebody on the other side of the world, regardless of the title, rank, how much they make. And I love
Yeah.
the fact that this is literally the problem that Ideascale software solves, because it is a problem that has frustrated me throughout my career.
Wow, yeah. I mean, I'm immediately hearing you talk about that, immediately thinking of companies that I've been in where, yeah, it was a source of frustration of thinking, you hired me because you thought I was a smart and capable, intelligent person, and now you're not listening to my ideas just because you're in the seat above me. So
Yeah.
wow, can you tell me a little bit more about Ideascale and kind of the culture that has been built there and under your leadership, or have there been changes? Kind of, the tell me more about the direction of Ideascale.
Sure. So the culture, I really want to credit my predecessor, Rob, who founded the company and led it for the first 10 or 12 years. And he built this culture of transparency, and I've tried to continue to build upon that. So I don't think I've made too many changes to the culture of Ideascale. I think I've made changes to how we think about our product as well as how we think about about scaling the organization. On the product side, I think I've made a little bit of a switch where I've emphasized fewer things but done extraordinarily well. So I think I've really emphasized that we're going to have fewer nuts and bolts and bells and whistles in our software, but they're going to be really, really good, really simple, really easy to use. And number two, on scaling the organization, when you try and take a small organization that's run by founders and take it into a more globally impactful organization, you have to think about building in systems. Like you need to have a proper HR department, you need to have a decision-making process. How do you think about what is a good bet or a good investment versus not? And I think I've instituted some of those both frameworks and analytics in order to allow us to be more globally scalable and globally impactful.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, systems. I mean, I feel like that's the key in any, especially when you're really trying to scale, is you have to have those systems in place. So I love to hear that, and you definitely have a. I mean, you can tell that you've got the mind for this, and if you don't mind me asking, Nick, how old are you right now?
I am 37, I think.
37. I love it. I'm 42, and yeah, I love. I mean, I felt like I was. I mean, I was the kid 7 years old doing a lemonade stand, so I always felt like I was. I was going to be running things. I started my first business in high school, but yeah, I love hearing that because like 37, like holy cow, you got a killer career ahead of you. I'm so glad we're connected and looking forward to seeing what's going to continue to blossom and grow, especially at Ideascale. We'll have to talk more offline about that. I'm interested. Just the business person in me wants to get connected with you guys. So now at this point, I want to ask that question that I ask everyone at the beginning of the podcast. Nick, can you tell us? And this is I like this because it kind of it gets has a little vulnerability moment here. What is a moment, a mistake that you've made in leadership that you'll never forget?
Sure, I think, I've made many mistakes and I'm still learning. The thing
Sure.
that's always stuck with me, and it's a mistake I continue to make to this day because it is kind of cuts against the way my brain is naturally wired, is communicating in a way that is natural to me, but not necessarily uh, great for my audience, right? I think a lot of leaders, really good leaders, are effective at communicating in a way that is well received by whoever their audience is, whether that be their friends, their employees, their business partners. And I think I am far less effective than I could be at communicating in a way that is well received by somebody else. So I, for example, to make that very tangible, I'm a mathematician. I love communicating in numbers, in
Okay.
details, in extreme logic, cutting out emotion in both my own, and others in that communication. But that works for some subset of people, but it doesn't work for a lot of people. And I think I constantly make the mistake of communicating in that style that is native to me, but that is not effective for the receiving audience. And obviously, the way to correct that is be more aware of who my audience is, and then obviously tailor the way I'm communicating to that audience so they actually A, listen, B, they care, and C, we actually achieve the business goals that we're trying to achieve. Which, if I'm communicating ineffectively, they either won't understand, won't care, or will be pissed off. And that's not a good outcome for anyone.
Yeah, I love that. And that I love that you're continually learning that. And with that in mind, do you find yourself in, say, in different settings, really practicing and honing in on, okay, who is my audience on this one and what language do I need to use?
So I would say I'm still subpar in this area, right?
Okay.
I think 10 or 15 years ago, I was absolutely terrible. Today, I think I'm, a little bit below average, but still, it's still a long ways to go. But yes, the answer is I am increasingly tailoring the way I communicate to who my potential audience is. And it's such a skill that I continue to learn that I actually have a sticky, one of the few pieces of paper in my office is actually a sticky pad on my computer that says, be aware of your audience.
Okay, wow. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know in college, did you take any of the public speaking classes? I know generally most of us have to take at least a couple, but I was the guy that volunteered to go first. I'm like, yeah, I'll go first. And I always remember in that very first speech class, she was like, the very first thing that you need to remember is to know your audience. Because, yeah, if you don't know your audience, then you don't know the message to deliver properly. So I love to hear that. I remember, heck, it was only a week ago now. I'm at, yeah, maybe a week and a half ago. I got to go to a TEDx event here in Austin. A dear friend of mine, mentor of mine, was one of the speakers. And there were, I think, 6 speakers total, and 4 of them phenomenal. Like, wow. I mean, I felt honored to get to be in the room to hear these. And then 2 of them were like, oh no. Like, it felt like, just like you said, they were not properly prepared to speak to that audience. And you could definitely tell. So I appreciate that vulnerability. I know that that's something that um, we don't often get to see in our leaders, are those moments of vulnerability. But I feel like it's in those moments of vulnerability when we can learn the most. So I do appreciate you sharing that. So I'd love to kind of, of course, the name of our podcast is the Work Cultured Podcast, and one of the things that we love to talk about the most is company culture specifically. So can you kind of share, and maybe you can share kind of what did you feel like the culture was when you got to Ideascale, and then are there changes that you've made, or things that you've implemented to kind of steer the culture in a different direction in your tenure so far?
Sure. I think, again, I really want to give credit to my predecessor, Rob, for building a good culture. This was a culture where people were respected, we liked each other, there wasn't a lot of hierarchy, and I've tried to continue on that. The
Okay, love that.
cultural changes I think I've made are number one, making decision making more analytical. So decision making is not just on who yells the loudest or who has the cool sounding idea, but there's an actual analytical framework that we are all aligned on what makes a good business decision. That specifically, is it a good ROI decision, which any good organization should really focus on.
Sure.
And we've spent a lot of time thinking about what does ROI mean in an engineering context versus a marketing context versus a finance and HR context. So that's number one, implementing a this analytical layer that makes sure that we make good decisions together, that we all understand why we're making those good decisions. Um, Number two is changing the power dynamics a little bit. I think when I joined, there was a little bit, there's much greater emphasis on the sales, on the customer facing revenue generating teams being the power center of this organization. And that's important. Obviously, you need to sell stuff in order to have a business. But
Sure.
I think I shifted the power center more to be more equal, or to create more equal power centers where product and engineering have a greater independent say. So now that it is a little bit more balanced. And what I think, while that was a challenging shift, I think it enabled us to make much more thoughtful product decisions that are long-term oriented rather than customer says this, we need to go build it today, even if it's not a great decision. And again, good products incorporate customer feedback, but they don't jump when the customer says jump, right? Because
Sure.
customers' short-term needs may incorrectly eclipse their long-term needs. Um, and then the third thing that I made was, or the third shift I made was to more structured communication, meaning
Mm.
that we had a non-hierarchical organization, but information flowed through kind of random channels here and there. And I think culturally, and this I give credit to my board for suggesting this, was let us make more structured forms of communication. Let us make town halls where we're, rather than just, excuse my language, shooting the shit, we're sharing this is what's happening, both good and bad. This is what engineering is doing. We have created a lot more open channels within our Slack network to this is where, if you want to go learn what's happening in product, just pop in, listen. So to create more avenues where people know they can get access to the information they want if they want. And again, you're encouraged to participate, but never pressured to participate in anything. And I think that creates a much better sense of how information is flowing to the organization as well as what matters to the organization so that each person can contribute most effectively.
Yeah, I love that. Communication is key in any relationship. So yeah, I love to hear that. So you talked about the town hall meetings. Can you kind of, I guess, shed some light on the structure of the company? Are y'all 100% remote or is there kind of a hybrid?
Sure. So we have about 100 employees across 8 different countries right now. We have two physical offices, one in Bangladesh, India. Oh, sorry, Bangladesh, and then second, we have a small office in India, I guess, and the third major office that we have is in Washington, D.C.,
Okay.
which is where our U.S. and global headquarters are. Um,
Okay.
so that about 60% of our employees will be in one of those three offices, and the other 40% are remote. So, for
Okay.
example, I live in Philadelphia. I typically go down to our Washington, D.C. office a couple times a year or for major events, but I'm primarily remote, but there's other employees who are in office 5 days a week.
Okay. All right. Wow, yeah. It's interesting to see the dynamics and how people, companies are able to make that work. I've talked to a number of CEOs lately that are fully remote and have been from day one, and yeah, it's pretty mind blowing. So now, although I'm not actually going to do this, but what if we were to send out a survey to your staff, your employees, um, both in office and remote, and we ask them to share their feelings, their feedback on the company culture as it is today. What would you imagine they might say that the culture is like there?
Sure. So you don't even have to send out the survey. We actually encourage our employees to go post Glassdoor reviews about us. We do engagement surveys every quarter. So we
Every
have a pretty good
quarter.
sense
Okay.
on both the good and we don't censor any of this content, right? On Glassdoor, if you went and read our reviews, there's good stuff, there's bad stuff. I think the consistent themes would say are number one, this is a respectful culture. Regardless
Mm.
of hierarchy, regardless of where you look like, you're respected here. Um, Number two is that we care about our customers a lot. Number three is that decision making here is, uh, I would say that the more you could phrase this more positively, more negatively, but decision making here is ruthless. We make good decisions here, and we communicate those decisions clearly, but we always try and make the right decision, and we don't step away from making hard decisions. And that's something that some people love, that we're always trying to make the right decision. Other people struggle because at other companies, they're less analytical about those decision making. And that's certainly a cultural change for people who are used to making, or working in organizations that are less analytical. Um, and I think the fourth thing that people would say is that we are we are actually thought leaders in our space. So we work in a very kind of in a not a very niche space, but a specific niche of innovation. How do you do innovation correctly in a so in and I think our employees would say we're actually really thought leaders in that space. That we put out really good content that is not salesy content about come buy our software, but this is, for example, how you build an innovation culture. And I think I'm proud to say that I really believe that we are thought leaders in that space.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, there are many companies that I follow on LinkedIn. I'm sure you're the same, that the only thing they post is very salesy marketing type stuff, and it's like, guys.
I have a fun anecdote there. So we have a big blog, right? A company blog. And this blog is ranked one of the top three resources on the internet on in the topic of innovation anywhere in the world in any language. So I think that our competitors are basically Wikipedia, and the Harvard Business Review. So we're top three, right? It's in
Wow.
that order between. And if you go read any one of our blog entries, zero of them have it mentioned come by Ideascale software. Zero of them. 100% of them are just pure play content comparable to what you would find on Wikipedia, non-commercial at all. Obviously, somewhere in our sidebar down at the bottom it says like book a demo with us because it's hosted on our website, but the actual content of the article literally does not mention our software or software in general. It's just this is stuff you need to know if you are an innovation professional, expert, aspirer in any organization anywhere in the world. And we're
I
really,
love
really
that.
proud of that. And we try and maintain that, that separation of church and state constantly on our blog to keep it objective.
Oh, I see y'all's blog now. I'm gonna click into that. I want to follow that
Yeah, don't
later. I
trust
love
me,
it.
trust Google. We're literally top three on almost every topic and subtopic related to innovation in almost any language.
I love it. And I don't know if it was like this for you, but I mean, when I was finishing up college, Wikipedia was just becoming a thing, and it was like, hey, just a heads up, you cannot cite Wikipedia. And I remember a few years ago getting in an argument with someone, and they were citing Wikipedia, and I was like, do you know what Wikipedia is? Oh yeah, I know what we and I was like, let me show you. And I went in and edited a page right then and there with like some total malarkey. And then they're looking at me like, what? Like, yes, that's why colleges don't allow you to cite this. Like, what are you talking about? Like, don't believe everything you see on
Well,
Wikipedia.
in all
Serious.
fairness, Wikipedia, like once you put in this absolute malarkey, typically within a few hours, someone will cache it and revert. So I want to give credit to Wikipedia. And I was a science student. Wikipedia did exist when I was going to college, and in the sciences, they actually actively encouraged it. So
Oh,
science is,
really?
I think, a lot less about publishing books and a lot more about collaborating on research. So that scientists, for example, there's this website called Archive where a lot of scientists will put out draft versions of papers that are like the science might be right, it might be wrong, but we're attempting to put it out much earlier than it needing to be, a well validated study in a book format that'll be published 20 years later. And so, at least the community I grew up in, which is the academic science community, was much more open to these frontier domains of science or frontier ways of communicating science, whether that be archive on the publishing end or Wikipedia on the encyclopedia end. So
Okay.
we were
Good
not
to
using,
know.
Britannica or what were some of the legacy things.
Oh, my
Uh,
goodness.
we had this giant library of like science textbooks, and my professors were very clear. Wikipedia will be much better on 99% of them. Once in a while, you might have to go look at a reference textbook if you're looking up something insanely specific.
Yeah, I definitely remember in our home growing up, we had that bookshelf in the living room and we had the matching Encyclopedia Britannica.
We did
That
not
was,
have that. I think my parents were very, A, we did not have the economic resources to, but B, I think my parents were a little too bright to spend, 50, what is it, like $2,000 on buying an encyclopedia set when you could just go borrow it at the library.
yeah, I was, and once or twice I would go and use those for something at school. And it was almost just like a talking point for guests of like, oh, wow, you have the full matching set. Like, it's like China that sits in a cabinet that you never use. So Nick, as you're thinking of, as we record this, we're mid-March. Can you shed some light on, what are maybe some lofty goals that y'all have for the year? Like what is on the forefront for the rest of 2025 for you guys?
Sure, I think two things that I'm really excited about, and we as a company are really excited about. 2025 is our most ambitious product release schedule ever. So prior to 2024, we were basically just a one product company for the first 12 years of our history. 2024, late 2024, we put out one new product. In 2025, in Q3, for example, sorry, in Q1 already, we have put out two new modules and one new integration entirely. So you can basically run Ideascale on Microsoft Teams now, or like
Okay.
90% of us. So we're really excited about that. So that's like a mini app or like a mini mobile app. And then started in Q2, we put out an entirely new module called project management. So you can go from an idea to actually managing it and turning it into a project, like in the real world. And then we're literally right now thinking about what our product roadmap is. So 2025, again, from a product point, is our densest, coolest release schedule ever, which we're excited about. Because again, we've gone from one product company that puts out all these little features to now we are putting out real products, real meaty modules that drive value for our customers. That's number one. And number two is on the business side, we really started expanding internationally in 2024, and we're starting to see the fruits of that in 2025. So I'm really starting to, win customers in Latin America, in Africa, and a little bit in Southeast Asia, which is another third focus point for us, South and Southeast Asia, and that's great. Us going from primarily in America, historically our business was just United States, Western Europe, and Australia, and now it's wonderful to see that we're bringing the same impact we did in our traditional markets to new markets where they're suffering the same problems. Everyone wants to innovate. How do you do it? Thankfully, we have a little bit of expertise there.
Yeah. Well, and then fantastic having, boots on the ground, people that are working in those areas of the world that can also then have customers. I love to hear stuff like that. And like we're all just in this together. Sure, there may be land and languages that separate us, but I love to hear the growth. So with that in mind, I mean, what do you anticipate are some of the biggest challenges that y'all are going to face in 2025?
I think I would put challenges into three buckets. Number one is our existing business. So we have a strong business with the US federal government. Obviously, that is going through a lot of political changes right now. We don't know
Yeah.
what that means for us. It could be good, it could be bad. Um, so that's something certainly we are, aware of, right? But we won't really know what the new administration is going to do and how it impacts for us until about September when the government's budgeting cycle is. Number two is on the international expansion. Um, we believe that many of the problems that are facing organizations internationally are similar to those that are in the United States or traditional Western Anglo-Saxon markets, but that may not be the case. And that could be great, where people tell us, hey, here's a new way to solve a problem that we can incorporate into our software, or we may discover that we're trying to sell apples when they want oranges.
Yeah.
And that's something, again, we will learn as we're going through this. And then thirdly is going back to our product release schedule. We have a pretty ambitious schedule here. We've made a lot of assumptions and a lot of bets on what we think our customers will value. And obviously we've done some research and not just taking blind bets, but
Yeah.
those bets could fail, right?
Sure.
And so it is certainly in a software world, you have to take bets, you have to make decisions on and designs on what you are building, and those could fall flat. Right, and that would be disappointing, obviously, because these are big bets. We're really excited about it internally. We think our customers are excited about it. But if they fall flat, then we'll have to reassess what our product strategy was come Q3 or Q4. That's something that I'm certainly anxious about, but I'm hopeful on the upside there.
So when you talk about these, like the new products, are these all from internal teams and their ideas? Okay.
So,
Um,
uh, I want to be internal or customer generated, right?
okay,
So,
okay. So a little bit
for
of both.
example, we're releasing a Microsoft Team, a fully fledged version of our software that works within Microsoft Teams. And that was something our customers really wanted. They said, hey, we hate going to ideascale.com to use our software. Wouldn't it be great? We spend all our time in Microsoft Teams. Why can't we just participate in your social platform through Microsoft Teams? We're like, that's a great idea. Let's go build it, right? And that's coming out, I think, in like a week or two. So
Okay.
that was an idea coming from
And
customers.
that's just like a add-on or plug-in.
It's just like a plugin. So if you use Slack or Teams or kind of any social app, they often have ways to add, integrate with
Yep.
another application.
Yep.
And that's
Okay.
really so you'll just be able to, it'll be like a mini social network. Imagine Facebook or something within Microsoft Teams or
That's
Slack soon to be
fantastic.
as well. Um, there's other features, or sorry, not features, that modules, because there's a bunch of stuff going on the feature side, but I'm really talking about the big meaty modules that we're putting out that were ideas that we came up with internally. So, for example, we released something about 6 weeks ago which was an AI tool that was not a chatbot. We said chatbots are stupid. Everyone's doing chatbots. We released an AI tool that took all of your data and told you the so what. So imagine you taking all the posts in your social network and telling, hey, what are the themes? What are the social posts that matter most? In our case, obviously, it's what are the ideas that matter most? Which ideas help you achieve your goals? Which ideas are crazy and can't actually be done? Right? So there was somebody who suggested an idea for, not for us, but for one of our customers on an engine that generated perpetual energy. Sounds like the greatest idea ever. Kind of violates the laws of physics. So that was an idea that the AI could automatically figure out. Sounds great at face value, doesn't work.
Yeah,
And so
that
that was a module where the AI would parse through all of your data and then figure out which ideas are relevant to you, which are achievable, and then also at a more meta level, what are the themes and ideas that your employees, your customers are talking about? Because even aside from the individual idea, you care about the themes. Are the themes about diversity? Are the themes about um, solving an energy problem? Are the themes about building new products? You should know those themes.
yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, it really sounds like y'all are doing, I mean, obviously cutting edge things, but you're really pulling from what is happening in the world today. We can't go anywhere without hearing about AI, but instead of just doing the same old AI stuff that everyone else is doing, y'all are
Yeah, I
really,
think our AI strategy has been we want to be transparent. We're not like cutting edge AI researchers, right? We're leveraging commercial AI models. But what I
sure.
think we tried to do was get away from the chatbot world. There's a million chatbots out there. Everyone's added chatbot. Like it's kind of boring. What we tried to do is like, what are the problems that people struggle with in our software? And the biggest problem I think people struggle with in our software is is you have all this wonderful idea data. No one's got time to read through 1,000 ideas on how to make a spaceship part or snacks in the kitchen or a new financial product. That's a lot of no one's got time to read that. How do you automatically parse through that, evaluate it, and ascertain what are the ideas you should actually pursue? And AI does that really well because AI's reading speed is obviously 1,000 times better or a million times better than you and I.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's good stuff. I love to hear the innovation, and it does sound like you guys are moving very fast, but you're also moving very, like you said earlier, very strategically, and
We build stuff fast, but we choose what we build very
yeah,
thoughtfully.
I love that. Well, Nick, it's been a pleasure. I As we start to wrap up, I want to ask one last question. Well, I guess a couple. Um, one is, do you? And I know you did kind of just plug some things, but any final things you may want to plug, or maybe any kind of final words of wisdom you'd want to share with us?
So the only thing I want to plug is Ideascale software is completely free for teams or organizations less than 100. Literally no strings attached. Your data belongs to you. So if you're a one person company or if you're a 99-person team within $1 billion organization, our software is completely free for you. So just go to
Wow.
ideascale.com, click get started free. It takes like 4 clicks and you are up and running. And there's literally no strings attached, no weird fine print. You don't like us, you can hit export your data and be out within seconds. And that is something
Wow.
we're really proud to offer because, like, A, it doesn't really cost us anything. B, it's part of our kind of founder's mission that we want to be provide innovation software, and we understand that if a lot of organizations aren't able or aren't willing to put out the kind of money it requires to buy commercial software like ours. So for small teams, we've given it, we're literally giving it away totally free, and we're really excited to do that and have been doing so for about the past couple of years. So come sign up. Oh, by the way, it's not a free trial. It doesn't cut off after like 30 days. It's literally use it for as long as you want, no limitations.
Wow. Hearing you say that, I mean, for a split second, I like got a little emotional because it seems like everyone nowadays that they want to give you a little teaser. They give you, and I love that of like, wow,
Yeah,
someone
the
that is
only the only
actually,
cutoff is like after 100 users, we ask you come, become paying customers of ours. But if you're 50 people, you can use my software for the next 10 years, no cost.
wow. I love that. Well, I'm definitely going to sign up for our team. We have a small team, but I definitely want to see what it's about. So that's exciting. It's fun. The brilliant people that I've been honored to get to have on the podcast over these last 3 or 4 years. Is always is fun. I learn things, but then I also selfishly I get to things like this where I feel like this is something that I'm actually going to be able to use, and am looking forward to it. So thank you, Nick. I really do appreciate it. And so now I can't say my favorite thing, but I usually do say this last part is my favorite because it gets a little more personal. So we're gonna do a quick this or that, and you can pick one or the other, or you can say neither, and there may be a third one. But the first one I think I know just because we both have been drinking it. But um, coffee or tea?
Tea.
Tea. See,
Yeah,
I've
I'm
got
actually drinking.
coffee.
Well, I'm drinking mushroom coffee right now, but I'm generally a
Okay,
tea guy.
okay, okay. Um, and golf or tennis?
I don't know how to play golf, and I just started learning to play tennis. I like tennis more. It's more athletic, more
Okay.
you get your heart pumping more.
Have you gotten into pickleball at all?
No, but my mother-in-law is massively into pickleball.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, pickleball is crazy popular here in Austin. Um, Mountains or beaches?
Mountains, much more
Mountains.
athletically challenging. I cannot sit still on a beach. I go insane. I go for runs or swims on the beach. I
Yeah,
need to be out there moving when I'm out
yeah.
on vacation.
Same. Yeah, I am not a just lay on the beach kind of a guy. I'm like, I'm gonna sit here for 15 minutes. Ooh, look at that little rock. I'm gonna walk
We,
down
we
to
were
that.
uh, we were on the Jersey Shore last summer, and my wife and her friends lay on the beach, and it's like 95 degrees out. I went for a 5 mile run in this 95-degree weather and came back.
I love it. Yeah, we would definitely get along. Whiskey or beer?
Whiskey, much stronger
Whiskey.
taste.
Okay. Do you have a preference?
I think I am either an Ashatoshan or Lagavulin fan, depending on the mood.
Okay. All right. So the good stuff.
I don't know if it's
Um,
good. It's I think it. I don't. I'm not buying the 20-year-old casks or anything like that.
okay. Okay. And then the last one, are you more of a morning person or a night owl?
Morning person. I'm up 5 to 6 a.m. naturally most days, and I love
Okay.
it. So.
I love it. I feel like I'm a little bit of both, depending on what's going on in my life. But um, well, Nick, it has been an absolute pleasure. I really do appreciate it, and we're so delighted to have you on the Work Cultured podcast. And we're gonna sign off for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan.